The story of Troy Baker, Rhys and Randy Pitchford continues as Gearbox responds with a new statement. So as we know, Troy Baker was replaced as the character Rhys in Borderlands 3 by Ray Chase, who is well known for his several roles in many recent popular anime dubs such as JoJo, Mob Psycho 100, Hunter x Hunter, and leading video game roles such as Noctis in Final Fantasy XV, and also Genshiro Ashina in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Fans seemed perplexed by the change, as although Ray is as certified and talented as any replacement can come, Troy holds somewhat of an iconic and legendary status in the world of animated voice work, and it seemed like a strange oversight to be replacing one of their biggest stars. Other fan favourites in the series were also replaced, including the beloved Claptrap character, who after originally being voiced by David Eddings up to the most recent release, was swapped for Jim Foronda, who again in his own right is a highly respected voiceover veteran. David Eddings was originally Vice President of Strategic Partnerships at Gearbox and was essentially tapped as an in-house solution for Claptrap's voice. This is becoming fairly common nowadays, with similar situations at other studios like Warframe's community manager Rebecca Ford also voicing your main space mom throughout the game. This is often way more convenient in terms of access to the voice actor, and in some cases more convenient in terms of pay. David Eddings complained of not being properly paid for his large body of work as Claptrap over the years, and claimed that the reason behind his firing was that he insisted on being paid for his performance. Randy then indirectly responded to a fan bringing up unionization as a solution for stopping employees rendering extra services without proper reimbursement, and said there was no force, he wanted it and reveled in it. The issue today is that Mr. Eddings is bitter and disgruntled about having been terminated. He was offered 2 times pay scale, he refused. I don't want him to do it unless he wants to do it, as motivation affects performance. Speculation was obviously growing in the background at this point over why Troy Baker was dropped, and many fans had started to speculate that it could be a similar situation to David Eddings. The month previous to this, in April at the Supernova event in Melbourne, Troy made what can be interpreted as a direct message to Randy, stating he was surprised when he saw trailers with his character in. Randy, again responding to a fan days later asking why Troy was not in the game, said, "You'll have to ask Troy. I was told by the audio director that he turned it down. Fortunately, with how Rhys appears in the game, I don't think it actually matters at all. You'll see for yourself when the game comes out, and you may disagree with me on that or not." The back and forth of statements continued as later in April, in an interview with Only Single Player, Troy politely hit back to a question on his Borderlands involvement, suggesting Randy has made conflicting statements and needs to fact check before tweeting out to the internet. Now, in the latest development to this story, our very own Kirk McKeon caught up with Troy Baker and Nolan North on their recent trip to Retro Replay in London and asked Troy what was really going on behind the scenes. Kirk said Troy was openly disappointed about not reprising his role and stated, "They came to me and were like, 'Do you want to do this?' I said, 'Absolutely,' and then they made it impossible for me to do the role. It had nothing to do with money. They just simply would not go about doing it the way that we needed it to be done. So then I was like, I never said no." Kirk pressed Troy to clarify his fairly vague comment, and then he added, "It was simply a matter of they wouldn't go union." And without getting too deep into the weeds of that, we had long conversations about this. We always knew going into it that this was going to be the thing, as they would never move from that position. This seemed to be the end of the months-long trading of minor verbal barbs, but in a new twist, prolonging this public dispute, Gearbox issued a new statement to us explaining why they would not go union as Troy insisted, stating, "Gearbox is a Texas company and is bound by Texas law, which means that a person cannot be denied employment because of membership or non-membership in a labor union or other labor organization. As a talent-owned and talent-led organization, Gearbox enthusiastically works to ensure our pay and working conditions meet or exceed union standards. We also believe strongly in hiring local voice actors whenever we can, which is why we were thrilled Troy's career really took off after working with us." The final line of this statement is in reference to the fact that one of Troy Baker's very first video game acting roles was in Gearbox's 2005 release, Brothers in Arms, which Randy also directed. And then finally, video game actor union SAG-AFTRA also waded into the debate, releasing their own counter-statement to Polygon, saying, "The misguided decision by Gearbox to deny their performers the opportunity to have fair union wages, a safe workplace, and the possibility of healthcare coverage for their families is unfortunate." The backdrop of controversial character recastings, exclusivity deals, and high-profile legal cases have done a lot to damage the overall image of a game that at its core is still the same enjoyable experience fans of the series have grown to love. We can just hope now that since all sides have had this say on matters, this will be the last of this dispute and the work can speak for itself. If there are any more developments on the situation, we will keep you up to date, so for the full write-up and more on this story, keep it tuned here at VG247.com.